The initial 911 call that came in reported Mr. Luttrell engaging in some odd behavior, including crawling around on the grass.
All right off the bat, this case is already walking a tightrope between mental health and criminal responsibility. Was this a cry for help or a situation that spiraled out of control? And here's the big question for you. Should someone in this condition be handled by police or medical professionals first? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit like if you're already hooked, and don't forget to subscribe for more real courtroom breakdowns like this.
Making comments about his daughter being kidnapped. And so certainly things that would lead a reasonable person to believe that he was suffering from some mental illness. Now, with that being said, he was also highly intoxicated, and we don't challenge that in any way, shape, or form. He admits to that. He understands that. He's been working on his sobriety since this occurred, so we're not arguing that he wasn't under the influence as well. But the request was really in the nature of getting him some help, more so than it was getting law enforcement involved because of any criminal activity that he engaged in at that time. It did result in a violent encounter with the police. We certainly understand that the court takes those things seriously, so we don't mean to minimize what occurred. There was some body cam footage of it as well. And when the body cam starts, you see Mr. Luttrell ordering the officers off the property. Officers obviously said it doesn't work that way. When he refused to follow their lawful command, specifically to get on the ground, that's what resulted in the confrontation with the police. He was physically.
Mr. Luttrell, you don't have to tell me anything today. If you don't, I don't hold that against you. But you may make any statement to me you wish. Is there anything you want to say, sir?
I just appreciate any considerations, and thank you for your time.
How willing are you to take care of this Indiana outstanding warrant?
I could take care of it as soon as I have this taken care of.
Well, I mean, you've been able to take care of that since 2017.
Yeah,
You failed to appear.
I did run from it. I admit to that. But
if I even consider putting you on probation conditions, you got to travel to Indiana and physically own.
Now, this is where things get serious. An outstanding warrant since 2017? That's a huge red flag in the eyes of the court. Judges take failure to appear very personally because it challenges the authority of the legal system itself. So even if he's trying to turn things around now, is it too late? What do you think? Should the judge give him a second chance or make an example out of him? Comment below, share this with someone who loves courtroom drama, and subscribe so you don't miss what happens next.
Up to that warrant, if they put you in jail, they put you in jail.
okay,
You're willing to do that?
I would be willing to do that.
Mr. Radsbaugh, any recommendations from people?
Judge, first of all, we agree with the recommendations of the department. And I think even with the recommendation for jail, some period of probation, I think, is important to follow up and make sure he is, A, continuing with his mental health treatment and his medication, and B, remaining sober. Judge, had he been following his medication regimen, we might not even be here today. If he had not compounded that mistake by then consuming alcohol to the point of intoxication without taking his medication, we probably wouldn't be here today. But the bottom line is he did both, and as a result put 4 officers at risk. Got into a heck of a tussle with the 4 officers, tried to spit on them. We can't have our officers subject to that, Judge, so some consequences is appropriate. They recommended 9 months. I guess I would leave that up to the court's discretion, but I don't think that's inappropriate. It's about the middle of the guidelines. And insofar as any lingering issues in Indiana, yes, he'll have to take care of it, but I think he should take care of what I believe is his obligation to the law enforcement here by serving some time in jail and with some probation on top of that.
Well, Mr. Luttrell, this is, not a complicated charge. Resisting obstructing police is a fairly complicated charge. It's a 2-year felony. The guidelines are 0 to 17 months. We see these types of cases a lot, and they're on a sliding scale of how any failure to comply with a lawful command of a police officer is resisting obstructing that officer. Doesn't even require an assault, and here you were physically aggressive with them, threatening with them, and So the charge itself is not that complicated. The facts of you are what makes this much more complicated. I mean, the police are called to respond to some behavior that was at least partly driven by mental health concerns. But the prosecutor is exactly right. I mean, if you were following your treatment regimen and were sober and nonetheless had some mental break, I think courts would bend over backwards to try to find a way to work with that and to solve that problem. But the prosecutor is absolutely right. You decided to stop taking your medicine. You decided to also get drunk. You're responsible for that behavior. You've got a prior R&O on your record. You've been on probation in the past, and you haven't done well with that. You have a charge for drunk driving in the state of Indiana that you fled from 7 years ago, and they have a statewide pickup outstanding warrant. And for 7 years, you've just been thumbing your nose at the court in Indiana. So you're aggressive and threatening to the police. You don't do well on probation in the past. You're thumbing your nose at a court system as we stand here today.
This is the turning point. The judge is laying everything out. Past behavior, missed chances, and a pattern of avoiding responsibility. And here's the harsh reality. Courts may show compassion, but they don't ignore patterns. So ask yourself, is this a case of someone who deserves help or someone who's run out of chances? Let me know in the comments. Smash that like button if this breakdown is hitting different. Share it with others and subscribe because the verdict is about to hit hard.
And then you come here and you want us to help you. But what makes it tough is it's very tempting to do so. I mean, I've got some good letters from your employer. This was a couple years ago. You've gotten back on your treatment, and you're engaged, you're working. I'm hesitant to kind of upset the apple cart with those things. I really am. But man, it's just really, really tough to go out of my way here for somebody who's going out of his way to avoid justice. You've been going out of your way for 7 years to avoid justice for a serious charge, driving under the influence with a high BAC. The people of Indiana have the right to have justice on that charge. I don't know if you're guilty of it or not, but they've got the right to have that charge go forward. And you're an absconder from justice on that charge. So I don't know. I don't think putting you on probation is a great idea. So there's fines and costs of $130, crime victims assessment $68, state costs $350, and court costs, and I'm going to order you serve 6 months incarceration in the Prescott County Jail with credit for 4 days previously served. That is a sentence within the advisory guidelines. It's not an intermediate sanction. I'm giving incarceration because of the prior poor supervision and the outstanding warrant in the prior